And we're back with another episode of Café con Chisme. I'm Seb.
And I'm Yaz.
And we're super excited because we have a special guest on the show today. Welcome, Elíseo Equihua. Did I say that correctly?
You did. Yes, you did.
Okay. Elíseo is a first-generation gay Latinx Chicano artist, model, actor, and DJ born and raised in East LA. He's been in campaigns for brands like Doc Martin, Born and Raised, Estrella Jalisco, and Fenty, all on his own and without an agent or a manager. So we're so excited that you're here to chat with us today.
Yes.
I'm excited to be here, you guys. I'm really excited. This is fun. This is going to be so much fun.
Yes. Okay, campaign. Okay,
I
brand.
know, I see you.
So I'm excited. I mean, we're both very excited to hear about your journey. If you can start off by telling us a little bit about yourself and your story.
Okay. Well, I feel like I have two stories, basically. I feel like I have a story from growing up here in LA, and then a story of when I came out, like growing up closeted, and then when I came out, I feel like is a whole different life than what I had when I was growing up here. Growing up here, I'm a son of immigrants. Both my parents are from Mexico. My dad's from Nayarit, my mom from Michoacan. We would always be going back and forth every year. So I always had that upbringing of being in Mexico too, and being from a small little rancho. Was something that I always loved and could always look forward to going like in my childhood. Growing up here, I grew up in the East LA. I grew up in El Sereno, Boyle Heights, City Terrace area. I was always here and in Lincoln Heights. My mom used to have, I don't know if you guys are familiar with it. It's called the Lincoln Minimo. It was there a few years ago and now it's not anymore. It's basically like an indoor swap meet, but my mom had three little stores in that swap meet. So I was always there, you know, me and my sisters and my brothers, we were always in the swap meet. That's where I feel like being brought up here in that environment and my mom and dad's friends, just being around so many personalities and characters, I feel influenced me and shaped me into who I am. If it wasn't for those people and just my family and our family and friends, I feel like I'd be a very uninteresting person. I feel like they are a lot of who I am. Like, I feel like they just come out of me, even if I try not to. Like, it's just there.
That's beautiful.
And then growing up, once I came out and I was closeted the whole time up until like my mid-20s. And then once I came out, I ended up just through going out with my best friend. We just wanted to go dancing. Like that was all we wanted to do. So we would just go to the clubs here in West Hollywood and downtown LA and the underground parties and just being out, going out and having fun with my best friend. People who didn't know us, they had never seen us before because we would never go out before that, would come up to us and be like, you know, it was just, that's how I became friends with a lot of creative and talented people in LA. A lot of my friends are drag queens or they're nightlife personalities or they're hair and makeup artists, you know, people that are in the industry like that. And that's how I became friends and with a lot of people in the industry. And I feel like that life now that I have now is so exciting because all my friends are exciting. So you know, when you ask me about like my upbringing and my past, like I feel like I have two lives here in LA. You know, I have the one that when I was a kid and then now one as an adult that I love too.
That's beautiful.
Yeah, it's almost like a rebirth in a way, no? Like we have these different phases in our life. And then, like you said, early 20s, as if that was a long time ago. I'm like, how old are you?
Well, I mean, you know, ladies never give away their age.
Right. What kind of question?
I'm so sorry. How rude of me.
You know, she looks good because she has good genes, but you never know how old she really is.
Right.
That's good. Yeah.
Also, remind me to ask you what your skin routine is because you are glowing. So I'm like, speaking of
I mean, both of you too.
Thank you.
Well, we try.
Well, we have a filter on.
There's a lot going on behind this screen right now. So you told us a little bit about your upbringing. Can you tell us now a little bit about what your journey has been like coming up in this industry?
I feel I feel like because of my story, the way things happened, I once I came out later, so I felt like I had a lot more growing up to do, and I had to learn faster than most people. A lot of my friends that I know, um, that I became friends with, who are gay, or let's just say part of the LGBTQIA plus community, um, are they've been around and have more experience, way more than I have, you know. And I feel like once I started to come around, I feel like I had to learn quickly. And I did, you know, for the most part, I feel like I have. But yeah, I feel like my upbringing coming up here, in the, I guess, in as an adult in the industry, um, was kind of fast. I had to learn really fast and pay a lot of attention. um, I did a lot of behind the scenes work before I did modeling. I feel like not many people know that. Um, I have my own little production company, and I used to have, you know, produce shows for my friends, like, at a theater that we worked at. Um, and so I've been a lot behind the scenes a lot, and that's how I made a lot of friends too. So I feel like my, just like the process of the way things turned out was being behind the scenes a lot made me learn a lot faster. And I feel I was able to see how people interact and how people are, around each other. So that helped me a lot too. It's just being behind the scenes and being an observer, was something that really helped me and grow up fast in this industry, I think, because I was around people who were, already experienced. And when you're around people who know what they're doing, you kind of bounce off of it, you know, and you take what they give you and what works for you, you know?
Yeah, I don't think people, well, sometimes people do, but I don't think people realize how important just being in those spaces really makes a difference, right? Or like who are the closest 10 people to you, or who you interact with the most in the day, how much that has an influence on who you become, or where you go.
Yeah. And even in the form of like apprenticeship too, right?
Yeah.
Depending on any field really, or any kind of like skill or whatever it is that you're doing, right? Like sometimes that's the best way to learn, is by having like the hands-on, or having someone kind of coach you in that way.
Yeah, just by seeing how, um, it's basically, you know, I feel like as adults, you come around a lot of people, and you come around, hopefully you come around individuals and personalities, and you take what works for you, their intelligence and their way of beings and the way they approach things. Whatever works for you, that's what you take from them. I feel like that's what a lot of people come into your life for, maybe, and so you can learn from them, not so much so, you know, if for any other reason. I feel like that's the way I look at people is, you know, I learned a lot from my peers and from the people who were nice to me, you know, that were, because girl, we all know this industry. We all know how it
Yeah.
So that's how
okay. Yes. Sorry. No. Thank you. So your posts are, a lot of them are like your editorial, you know, shots, or like, you know, things that you've been hired to do, but also your like everyday fashion is just like sickening. Like you are so like, yes.
And I was gonna say, I think we were both like fans of you, and didn't
way
know
before,
right? And like when we like, well, have you seen this person?
And like we would share your posts to each other. Like, oh my gosh, yes, like look at this. Like, yes, just yes. So we would love to know who your fashion inspos are, and like who are some of your fashion icons, whether it was like growing up or now, right? Like who do you pull inspiration from, or is it a person, or is it like an era? Like
I have
all the girls want to know.
honestly, I really do think it's my mom and my grandma are very, and one of my aunts too, like my mom's sisters. Whenever, a lot of my upbringing was being around birthday parties, my mom's friends and like my dad's friends. They're all from a small community from Mexico, from my dad's pueblo, and they all live around here in this area, like where my mom and dad's house is. They all live here, like in either in El Sereno or Lincoln Heights. It's like a big community of us. So they were always throwing parties like every Saturday. My mom's friends, they all lived in one little apartment complex. There was like 10 apartments. and each apartment was one of my mom's friends. So you can just imagine, like, every Saturday there was a birthday party there. And during the week, they would meet up to play loteria or like baraja and things like that. And for the birthday parties, it was like a slight kind of competition of who was wearing the cutest outfit among the ladies. So there was always a little friendly competition, and they were always just like very they loved dancing. Some of them loved to drink. You know, they were very party people, and it was very exciting being a kid and just, you know, being a little gay little girl just walking around seeing all these things I was living. You know, it was such a good experience as a childhood. So my grandma used to wear a lot of gold. Like, my grandma used to have like, until she passed away, she had like a full seminario of just like gold here and the rings. And, you know, my mom and my grandma had like these big Mexican earrings growing up. Like, they were always, the gold was always there. I guess like icons that I look up to in like pop culture. I look up to Maria Felix a lot. Just like you know, just everything about that woman is like everything to me. Diana Vreeland, Dolores del Rio. You know, people, names like that, they were original women, but also they all had a lot in common in the way they carried themselves. You know, they all had a persona. They all had style, let's put it that way. Like, they all had, and style wasn't just like, oh, they had like the best clothing, the best jewelry, none of that. Like, the way they carried themselves, the way they did their makeup, everything, it was a whole thing for them. And that's what it was. That's how it is for me, I feel.
And I feel like I definitely see the Maria Felix like reference or inspo in a lot of the stuff that you post. Like, it's very like
powerful,
luxurious, but like bad bitch at the same time. Like, yeah, like you're a little afraid, but you're also kind of like interested. Like, so and that's kind of a good place to segue, thinking a little bit like, I think part of what or at least for myself, I'll speak for myself, like what's really draws me in about your work and like the stuff that you share is like, it's like such a statement, right? Like, I feel like it's not just like, I mean, yeah, people like model and like whatever, but like there's such a statement, and it's really fierce, and it's very like specifically, I feel like Chicano, Chicanx, like, and I mean, not just I feel, I'm sure a lot of people feel, but we see that. So I think we're curious to kind of know a little bit about like some of the stuff that you do does push back against like gender norms, especially for like our expectations of how we think Latino men or Chicano men should look or present themselves. Like, do you see yourself challenging gender norms? And if so, how? And if not?
You know, that's a really good question, because I started getting asked that question a lot, like about that, and I feel like I didn't even realize I was doing that, or if I don't know if I am, to be honest. I'm just literally, this is how I am, like, this is how I dress, this is how I present myself to the world. Like, if you catch me in Food for Less, you'll see me like this. Is what I'm trying to say.
I love that.
So I do see where, I guess you could say, I'm challenging the norm or whatever, but also I just always have felt, just through the people that I know, like, there's never really been, like, who says there's rules to being a straight man or a straight woman? Like, you can dress however the fuck you want. I mean, I know my dad is a very straight Mexican man, and he is like, how do I put it? He's always been very into the way he dresses too. Like, you know, my dad is that Mexican man that would wear like the cinto with the belt, with the really iron pants, you know, and maybe a guayabera or just some shirt that was buttoned down, but the tejana, like, he was always a very stylish man too. So I just feel like I'm just doing what I've always done and what I've always seen, and maybe just adding a little bit of gay to it.
Putting yourself in it a little more.
Yeah, I'm throwing myself into it, into what I've always been around and what I've always seen. I'm just throwing myself, you know, like a structured shirt, you know, collared shirt has always been a big part of like something that I've grown up with. Like, it's not something new to me, is what I'm trying to say. This has always been who I am. So I feel like I guess I am challenging the norm in the way that I dress. I didn't notice it until one time when, so my sister's brother, I'm sorry, my brother-in-law, his brother is like a very straight cisgendered man, and he is like very macho Mexican, like cholo. Um, and it was 4th of July one year, and I remember I thought they were gonna tell me something because I was wearing something that was like, I was wearing like a very, very, very light pink two-piece, and it was like with these white boots and my gold jewelry, and I was just wearing that for 4th of July in front of all these people. And when I saw him, he walked up to me and he came up to me and he was like, yo, he's like, he's like, I saw you from when you walked in. He's like, and I was like, damn, that guy's looking fresh. And I thought he was gonna tell me something like, you fucking, you know what, or whatever.
Yeah.
But it was just trippy to me, you know, I didn't expect that, you know, and I have noticed that a lot too. Like now that I've been like, I've been working a lot in the industry, I have noticed a lot of straight guys, straight men, actually, I should say, have been appreciating the way I dress, which is weird to me because growing up it wasn't like that. You know, when I grew up here, and I grew up like El Sereno, I don't know if it's that much of a known community because whenever I get dropped off in Ubers, people don't really know where they're at. But it's a very heavily Chicano neighborhood, and when I was growing up, it was very macho. Like the schools were, it was kind of hard being here, being different here is what I'm trying to say. And I was never really embraced. I was never really accepted. You know, the only ones that really accepted me were like the cholas. Like the girls loved me. They were really nice to me. I have a lot of friends that were really strong girls. And I think if it wasn't for them, I probably wouldn't have gone to school because they really had my back a lot. And so, yeah, like it's just crazy for me to notice the difference from growing up when I was a kid here and being different and feeling different and knowing that they saw me as different. And then growing up now into like a young man, being embraced and being seen as like, oh, this is you know, you're doing something great or whatever, like it just looks great on you or whatever, is a real like trip to me because it was not like that before. And I just feel like it's an indication of where society is going, you know, like we're headed in the right direction, I feel. You know, because somebody like me can walk down the street. And if I can, and I feel like I'm too much, you know, somebody who's a little bit more reserved can be able to just be free, you know, be themselves.
Okay, yeah. So this kind of goes with what you're explaining now, how maybe the industry, how society's kind of shifting a little bit or progressing. Obviously, we know we have so much work to do, right? But like you're saying, to be able to walk down the street and just present as your authentic self and be safe is something that hasn't always existed, right? But what has been your experience with working in brands marketed at cis hetero men?
Honestly, when I've worked with brands that are marketed at cis hetero men, the ones that I've worked with have been really respectful. They've been real kind to me. They always have made sure that I, like for Doc Martens and Born and Raised, I feel like those brands are, you would think are more for like, you know, cisgendered hetero men. They were both very kind the way they approached me and the way they wanted me to, how do I put it? Go about the situation. They really wanted it to be an authentic version of me with their product or whatever they wanted me to work with them with, you know? And I feel like that was really, I mean, honestly, I don't have anything bad to say about the brands that I work with. They were really respectful, really kind, made me feel really comfortable. And I think it shows because the photos that I did for them came out good. I mean, I was pleased with them. And I'm really hard on myself. And I was like, okay, no, these are good. Like, okay, the girls are gonna live for these.
Yeah. And we did. See, like I already like, you know, fucked with Born and Raised before. And then when I saw that they included you, I was like, yes, like
right?
this is a big deal. Like
I thought so
one,
too.
because you know, you're gorgeous and you looked amazing in the pictures, but two, because Born and Raised is so hyper masculine in LA, but it's also it's becoming like interwoven with like the culture of LA right now, right? Like you go to a Laker parade, a Dodger game, anything, everyone has a Born and Raised t-shirt on. So the fact that you were included, I was like, yes, like this is where we need to be heading towards, you know?
Exactly. And the way that happened too was just so crazy. The owner, Spanto, a very, very, very nice man, like just a really nice, humble person. He hit me up on IG and was really sweet about it. And I was like, of course, you know, when I realized like this is for real, like these are real things, nobody's really fucking with me, like it's a real thing. I was like, oh my God, like this is crazy. You know, like for me, it was a big deal just being you know, like I said, you know, growing up here and going through the school system, like people like me that were different, even though we were still we're still part of the raza, the culture, we were still always seen as outsiders because we were different. You know, we weren't, you know, straight guys that, you know, we weren't that vibe. But for Espanto to put me in something like that, just based off of, you know, seeing who I am as a person on Instagram, where I just use it as a form of expression. You know, that's really what Instagram is for me. It's just like a way for me to use my brown body as a form of expression. And so for Spanso to see that, I guess, and like be like, oh yo, you know, like I want you in my brand. Like I thought it was so crazy to me. And I was like, this is huge. Like I did not expect that. You know, even and my brother, he's straight. He when he saw that, because I didn't tell nobody, he was really excited. Like he couldn't believe it. He was like showing it to all his friends and everything. It was such a good moment, you know. So
that's amazing.
Shout out to Santa for doing that because he really is a nice
guy. Yeah, he is.
Awesome. Well, I kind of following along that same vein, like, you know, we listed and we kind of mentioned some of the campaigns you've done so far and the big, you know, things like Fenty Beauty and Born and Raised and Estrella Jalisco, which we just saw. What do you think, and these are like all probably very different, but what do you think you bring, like when you work for a campaign or you work on a campaign, like what do you bring that you think is uniquely you?
I feel like I bring to the table a very unique but also very authentic version or representation of a gay Latinx Chicano. I think that that's why brands really, I guess, want to work with me, is because they see that I really am just like a very authentic version of myself. I really just do what works with me and what speaks to me is what I do. And I think that's what I bring to the table. I also bring a lot of creativity that I didn't realize this was a thing until friends like I said, friends that I met told me. But like the way I see things and the way I view the world, I guess, is different than most people. Like the way I get inspired is what I'm trying to say. And so a lot of times, like I've been doing a lot of work recently that I can't really say, but I have been doing a lot of stuff where they've been really respectful in the way they approach me about creative directing stuff and being a part of, you know, a group of people that are working on a project together to do something big, you know, like things like that. And I feel like that's something that I bring to the table too. I'm more than just a pretty face. I have a lot more to offer. I'm also multi-talented. Like I can also dance. I can also, you know, there's different things that I can do. When I first started modeling, this was years ago, obviously I don't look like everyone, like the cookie cutter image of a model. So it was really hard for me back then to get work. You know, the industry was different. They were looking for a certain type, and if you didn't fit that, you basically weren't getting any work. And so I kept getting rejected a lot. And at first I did take it personal. And then after I was just like, you know what? I'm gonna take some time away and focus on myself, build up basically build up the natural skills that I already have, learn new ones, and then come back. And I feel like that's where I'm at right now. It's just like, I worked a lot on myself and not just on like, creatively and artistically, but also internally. I feel like if you go about things and with like a much more calm mindset and just you work a lot on yourself and your inner thinking, I feel like you can really go after things because your mind is more at ease. At least for me. I'm nobody to give advice, girl. I feel like
yes, no, that's real. That is so real. It exudes. Whatever's happening inside of you is definitely projected into the world. But we do have another question.
Okay.
The brows.
You gotta talk about the brows.
Where does the brow game come from? Yes.
I know when you've been talking, I'm just like looking at your brows. I'm just like, they're so like amazing.
My brows, let's see, where do they come from? Well, they are mine. They might be a little bit fantastical, but they are mine, girl. I don't no brow lady knows me in LA or in Mexico because no, like bro. Honestly, you guys, my features really are like, they just, for some reason, maybe on camera too, they pop. I don't know how I look at people in person, but I usually I get told that I look the same in person, but my brows are my brows. Everyone in my family, like my brother, and my two sisters, I have two older sisters and a younger brother. And we don't really look alike except in our smile and our eyes, but we all have different eyes, if that makes sense. But the intensity of the eye is always like something that we all four of us share. For instance, like all my sisters have big eyes. My brother and my sisters, they all have big eyes, but my brother has like thinner eyebrows, but they're more like sharper. My oldest sister, she has like eyebrows that are fuller, but they're like more spread out. My sister Vanessa just looks straight up Armenian. Like everybody confuses her. Like when we were younger, she used to work in a courthouse in Hollywood, and she said that people would come up to her and speak in Farsi, and she would tell them that she doesn't know it, and they would get mad at her. They would think that she was being conceited and didn't want to speak the language.
Oh no. It's the good genes.
It really is. Genes. I mean, that probably sounds so like ugly to say. Oh, girl, it's the gene. But it really is.
I mean, if it's real, it's real. If the truth is the truth.
My dad I feel like I don't really look like anyone in my family except my mom's brother. Everyone says that I look exactly like him. He passed away when I was 16, but everyone says that I went to Mexico when I was 19. That was the first time I went to my mom's side, where she's from. And we went to the pueblo where she was from and everything. And the ladies he had a lot of girlfriends in the pueblo. And so the ladies would come up and talk to my mom and dad. And then one of them that was one of his ex-girlfriends was like, él se parece bien mucho al morro. She's like saying like, he looks just like El Morro was what they called my uncle. She's like, he looks just like him. She's like, but it looks like I'm just staring at him right now. And I don't know what. I was like, lady, chill out. Like, she was really sweet though, but she was like very like when she saw me, she like gasped and everything. And I was just like, it scared me. I was like, what the hell?
Okay.
But yeah, I feel like my genes, so my last name Equihua is my mom's maiden name. The reason why I go by Elíseo Equihua, Elíseo is my middle name, and Equihua is my mom's maiden name. And I basically took away my first name and my dad's last name, Garcia. It's basically like me taking away both colonizations from America and Mexico, I mean from Spain, and then just I'm left with Elíseo Equihua, who is this queen you see before you.
I love that.
That's a great story. You should.
That's beautiful.
Yeah, that's great. Well, okay, so we have one more thing. So I don't know if you've listened, we do this segment on the show where we try to think about whatever topic we're doing and thinking like, how can this look different in the future? So given that you are in the world that you're in the industry that you do, like in a perfect world, what would the fashion world look like for Chicanx communities, like in the perfect future for you?
In the perfect future for me, I've been a lot of the first gay Chicano that works with this brand, or a first gay Chicano that works with this photographer or even with stylists, like I'm the first one of my kind, you know, the first of my name or the first of my kind that works with these people. And I don't want to be the only one. I can't just be the only one. You know, I've always been very proud of who I am and where I come from. And I've always seen the people that I come from, I've always seen them with beauty, and that's what I want brown boys to be seen as too. I don't want us to be just seen as, even though that's part of a culture, our culture, I don't want, we're more than just cholos, cholas, you know, like all those things, you know, that can be seen as stereotypical or just in a negative light by some people. No, like take all those things away. We're beautiful people. You know, we come from a beautiful land, a such diverse land. Mexico is Miss Universe now. Hey,
Oh, yeah, that's
you know what I mean?
right.
Like, like what I'm trying to say is I've always seen my people and with beauty, and that's what I want the world to see them as. You know, as a thing of beauty too. You know, we're not just an anomaly or just somebody that you have to put there to be inclusive. Like, no, look at these people and see their brown skin, see, you know, the cheekbones, the round mouths, like, you know, everything. Like, I think it's something that I hope what I'm doing is helping for that in the future. You know, that I can't be the only one is what I'm trying to say. I want there to be more of us. You know?
Absolutely, absolutely. I think you definitely are. I mean, we don't know you personally, but we're proud of you and for what you're doing and for
Yes.
what you're doing for the community, because it's super badass. So
Thank you.
so we want to say that to you.
Yes. And I mean, thank you for sharing space with us today and telling us so much about yourself and your story. I know that our listeners are going to be so excited to hear this. Like, who is the person behind all these beautiful pictures? So thank you for joining us today. And like Seb mentioned, you really are paving the way for a lot of people. You know, not just in modeling, but really for people that may not feel like it's okay to be themselves in any other industry, right? Or in any other space, like to really give a fuck about what people are going to say and just do you. And you're really a representation of how being your authentic self takes you where you're supposed to be. So thank you
guys. That's real sweet. You know, I was asked recently, I did something where they asked me, how does it feel to be the first openly gay Chicano to work with, you know, what we know, you guys know that I work with Fenty, and we haven't said what for, and I can't say, but like with them, it was a big deal. And honestly, like I kind of paused for a bit because I thought about it. Like I don't really think about these things. I'm just really just doing you know, whatever feels right. And I thought about it there and then. Like I was like, you know what? Like I'm proud of it, but should I be that proud? You know, it's 2021, and you know, I shouldn't be the first one. There should have already been people before me. You know. But sure, you know, I'll take it, you know.
Hell yeah, of course.
Yeah, you know, like as long as the work is being done, that's what I'm proud of, you know. I'm not really proud of being like to say, oh, I'm the first one. It's kind of like, okay, girl, chill out, you know. But you know, I'm more proud of the fact that the work is being done, not so much that I'm the first one, you know, if that makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, I think that brings us to the end of the show today. So I don't know if you want to tell folks where they can follow you or find you.
Okay. I basically only use Instagram, you guys. I don't really do anything else. I don't know anything about Twitter. You guys saw me trying to set this thing up. I don't know anything like that. So yeah, just if you guys want to follow me on Instagram, it's at Elíseo Equihua, ELISEO EQUIHUA. I'm just kidding.
There you go. Make it a song.
Right?
Yeah.
We're all cheering for you. We're all
You guys are cute. No, but it was such a pleasure to work with the both of you. I really enjoyed it. I feel like I'm just talking to friends. So hopefully.
Oh, yay. Thank you.
Yeah.
All right, folks. Well, as always, you can find us on @Café con Chisme and all of our handles. And oh my gosh, I forgot my time. Wait, no.
Think about
y'all,
it.
Don't smoke so much weed. Okay.
Oh.
Every day, in every way, you are getting better and better.
And remember that you know more than you think you know.
Mhm.
Bye.